Greene County, Indiana, 1980. Close encounter of the second kind. MUFON Indiana wishes to thank the Center for UFO Studies for kindly supplying information on the following sighting. Noted astronomer and ufologists, the late Dr. J. Allen Hynek's break with a physical reality for UFOs might have come right here in Indiana. In 1980 he received and interviewed witnesses to a sighting near Bloomfield, Indiana. This report had the situation of an object actually changing shape several times as it moved toward and over the witness. This led Dr. Hynek to the response that these objects could not be of a physical nature but more of a supernatural nature. C. Researching the UFO phenomena using multidisciplines. Segment 4. Which hypotheses? My husband and I live on a 255-acre farm in Greene County, 2 miles southeast of Bloomfield, Indiana. After reading the article in McCall's magazine, 1. We felt we should report our sighting. Earlier we had no address or number to call, and family and friends are polite listeners but of no help in this instance. On October 26, 1980 at about 7 p.m., we experienced what Dr. Hynek terms a close encounter of the second kind. Since the sighting we have read his book. At about 6:45 p.m. Sunday I returned home with my young girls from visiting my mother and grocery shopping. As I was getting the children into the house and unloading the groceries from the car, I noticed a beautiful bright orange star low in the southwestern sky. I was in a hurry to get the children settled in to watch Walt Disney at 7 p.m. and I had several chores to get done before then. My husband was picking corn down in the bottom land away from the house, and I was expecting him up tired and hungry at any time. And I was late. Had I not been in such a hurry I might have the star looked out of place. It was so pretty and I tried to keep an eye on it while I worked in the kitchen. As I went out to feed and water the chickens, I just stopped and stare and marvel at how pretty it was. It crossed my mind that the Star of Bethlehem could not have been more beautiful. Back inside at the kitchen window I saw my husband's tractor lights slowly coming up the lane from the bottom. I was taking a roast out of the oven when I realized my husband was driving right up to the house at a breakneck speed. He burst through the door just as Walt Disney came on the TV and said that a flying saucer was chasing him. My first thought was that he had seen the big star and was teasing me, so I laughed at him. He looked at me like I was crazy. That's when I noticed that he was white as a sheet, shaking and yelling at me to look out the window. So I looked. What I saw was something coming in for a landing in the field behind our barn. I grabbed my coat, ran outside to stand on the back porch to watch. The star was gone, and hovering in the field maybe 200 or 300 feet away was some kind of aircraft with 2 large white lights in front like headlights on a car. It sat there several minutes, during which my husband was telling me what had happened to him. In between the point where I had seen his tractor lights earlier and the barn, he had looked up at the sky and seen a shooting star that had left an orange trail. Suddenly he realized the star was going up and not curving downward. He felt the sensation that someone was watching him and he turned in his seat to look. An orange object in the sky behind him suddenly dimmed into 2 lights and was heading towards him at a high rate of speed. My husband pulled the throttle out all the way and zoomed towards the house. He didn't really think he would make it to the house. While he is telling me this, the object is hovering about 20 feet in the air and absolutely motionless. When it started to move, it went forward and upward so smoothly I felt it would have moved in any direction with equal ease. The object passed about 20 feet above the barn, making no sound, and lights making no light. When it was over the barn roof, the sows with baby pigs in the barn jumped up and began wild grunting and knocking about in their pens. They settled down immediately after the object cleared the roof. The object is now coming very slowly towards the front of our house and yard. My husband had gone back into the house to watch from the front windows. My children are crying, and I am on the back porch having the time of my life. The object can be described 2 full moons spaced about 12 feet apart with a flashing red light in back like a lopsided triangle. Each white light could have been 3 feet in diameter, and the white was so intense but noting around lit up. It seemed as if the light was somehow contained within itself. The object was at treetop level now and passed to the right of our security light. There was no reflection of metal anywhere. The lights were all that could be seen, but I got the distinct impression that they were connected to something huge. The object made no sound except for a faint whistle as it passed me by. I mean very faint. Either it was my own excitement or I actually felt the quality of the air change, possibly charged with electricity or sterilized somehow. The feeling only lasted a minute and could have been my imagination. I did look very closely at the white discs and thought I saw what reminded me of cuts or the facets in a diamond. About 2 weeks afterward, our sighting was being told around, although we did not go public with this. We talked to people close to us. We experienced enough disbelief from family and friends to warn us how most people would react. Anyway, a neighbor had seen something strange over our place and was like most people, he didn't want to be the first to say something. But he did cone over and tell us that he saw a lighted object pass over our farm and at about where he thought our barn should be. Another neighbor and her teenage daughter and friend were driving home from Bloomington about 20 miles from here that same night and about the same time. They saw a lighted object flying very low and they were curious enough to pull off the road to look at it. They assumed it was a low-flying plane with its landing lights on, as a few miles away there was a county airport. But it was so strange that they shut off the car to listen to it to help them decide what it was, and then realized it wasn't making any sound. It kind of spooked them and they got back in and left. I hope this information is helpful to you. Had we known where to turn, we would have reported this right away. I really felt that someone should know, but most people don't want to hear what they can't understand. That's fine for them. But my husband and I need answers, information, and maybe a little support from people who have had similar sightings. We watched ABC's 2020 last week, and while their theory might explain some lighted occurrences, it doesn't explain ours. I thought it was a very negative report, and I wish something more positive could be put on. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe Travis Walton was just relating what had happened to him.